Hi, I'm Annie Botticelli, and welcome to my May 2020 horoscope report for you. I am over the moon excited to announce the launch of my new book, Planetology: How to Align with the Natural Rhythms of the Universe. And this is published through Watkins Media in the UK, and facilitating distribution worldwide is our partner, Penguin Random House. You can look up Annie Planetology in any search and you will find it for pre-order, and you can get more information about it. I'm very excited, and I hope it really helps you because that's the intention of my creating it. So I'm going to give you a quick introduction here, just about some general things to know, and then we'll get into some sign-specific, a lot of sign-specific things, really focused on Venus retrograde, where it's going to show up for your sign, and the special things to know about that, and also where this June 5th eclipse is going to show up in your chart. This is really critical because we are entering eclipse season very hot and heavy as of May. You might start to see eclipse manifestations even in April, 6 to 8 weeks before. The eclipses tend to get very hot, and we've got this grand finale of the Capricorn Cancer eclipse cycle. So lots of things involving home and work, and as we see now with what's going on with the coronavirus and all of the breakdown of things in the world that seem to be related to the coronavirus, but really all of this is astrological. A lot of topics of home and work and working from home and distance, everything about distance and distancing is coming up in a big way. So this eclipse cycle is going to bring a lot of information about how this is all going to go. Definitely stay tuned. After this video, I will be putting at the end my video called The Astrology of 2020, and that's going to be my input on the coronavirus as it relates to the astrology, things that are going on with the systems in the world, and how I believe we can make the most of the opportunities that are coming and deal with the challenges that are also here. Okay, so definitely listen for that after this video. So there are 3 eclipses, one on June 5th, a lunar eclipse at 15 degrees of Sagittarius. Then we have on June 21st, a solar eclipse. And then we have on July 5th, a lunar eclipse at 13 degrees of Capricorn. Okay, so in the May report, I'm going to show you where this June eclipse is happening. In the June report, I'm going to talk about the locations of the 2nd June eclipse, where that is going to be for you. And in the July report, I'll talk about the location of the July eclipse. Okay, so between 3 horoscopes, we'll cover all of the energies, how that's going to look for you. Venus retrograde is very, very major right now because we are actually in it May 13th through June 25th. Venus, the ruler of love and relationships, money and finances, and beauty and self-esteem and design projects and artistic expression. Major rulership of the domains of Venus are coming up in a big way. And I have created lots of resources for you, including a Venus retrograde blog that you can find if you just search for Annie Botticelli Venus retrograde. You'll find all of these resources that I have. And in these May videos, I am going to show you in the chart where that is for you. I've had a lot of requests to go back to the format where I show you the charts and show you more specific detail for the early, middle, and late degree placements, what certain things look like. From the last eclipse cycle, I had some terrible endings that happened then that I had to work with, so I wasn't able to put the extra time in with doing the charts, but now in this month I'm bringing them back. So definitely please let me know if you want me to keep doing that, because I do listen to your feedback. I listen to nice feedback. If people are mean, I don't listen to them. So anything nicely worded, I definitely take into consideration. So we've got a really very important month here. 2020 is one of the most pivotal years of our time. And so May is another cog in the wheel of this time. So I'm going to go into a lot of those details of what that Venus retrograde specifically is going to look like. So let's go ahead and drill down to this sign specific. Oh wait, one more thing. I am creating a free course on claiming victory from viruses. Okay, this topic is very near and dear to my heart, which I will explain in detail in the actual course, why I know so much about this. Spirit has been prepping me to assist with viruses for a while, and there's just way too much information on this topic for me to bring out in the videos. So I'm going to create a whole class about this that I'll continue adding to. So you can register for that class at lumelife.com, L-U-M-E life.com. Search for Luminous Life Multiversity in my name, and you can see there in the free course listings that you can enroll in the school and in the course for free, so that you can understand how to protect yourself from viruses, understand what they're doing. And I also will go into quite a bit of detail about the bigger picture of how viruses are part of our human evolution and how to work with them in the video called Astrology of 2020 that will follow this video. Okay, so now let's go into the sign-specific movement of Venus retrograde and what types of implications we can see from this and that placement of the June 5th eclipse for you.
Hello, Libra friends. Okay, so to make the most of the information I'm going to give you, it will help you to know where in the Libra spectrum you are. Some of the things I talk about will be for all of you, but we are going to go deep with some details, and this would be good for you to know anyway. So early Libras are basically September born or 0 to 9 degrees, and do know that this whole report is for you if you have Libra moon, Libra rising, Libra sun. Okay, so middle degree Libra, October 1st through 10th, or 10 to 19 degrees, and late degree around October 11th, or 20 to 29 degrees. Oh, so the late degrees are October 11th through the rest of the sign, is what I meant to say there. All right, if you missed this, I know I go through it really quickly, because a lot of my viewers already know this, but you can always rewind it and just get it situated where you're at. Okay, so this month we've got a lot of energy in Gemini, and these planets that are in Taurus are going to move into Gemini. And that's really good news for Libras, because those air planets make that beautiful trine, that 120-degree angle, which is the most favorable in all of astrology. So I know that some people have said and will say, how can anything good happen in the midst of all this terrible stuff? And I am not dismissing the fact that there is drama and cataclysm in the world, but these astrological factors are still at play. Okay, so in general, this time of year can be very nice for Libras as far as how the planets are moving and affecting your particular Libra placement. Until the Sun and Mercury get to that air placement, they are moving through the awkwardness of Taurus, which could have some, bumps there. Again, it's an awkward angle, but the predominance of the energies this month are really great for Libra energies. Okay, so my main areas of focus for this month are Venus retrograde and where it's going to show up exactly in the chart for each. Sorry, it looks like my thing bleeped out for a second. So my main area of focus, the first one is Venus retrograde and what areas of experience is going to show up for you and what you can expect from that for each Libra placement. And the second thing we're going to do at the end is to see where that lunar eclipse, that first Sagittarius eclipse in that new Sagittarius Gemini cycle, this triad of transformation, I'm calling these eclipses that we have through June through July, are really big, and things are coming to a head. You can see with Cancer and Capricorn, the housing market, the Capricorn work, business systems, all of, this is adding to what's going on. And definitely stay tuned after this video for my Astrology of 2020 video, where I talk about my take on coronavirus and what else, all of these things going on in astrology as it relates to the breakdowns in the world. But the closing up of the Cancer Capricorn cycle is definitely, giving us more clarity as to how these energies are going to manifest. And then we're starting the new cycle. So I'm going to talk about where in the chart the Sagittarius eclipse is going to be, because even though it's June 5th, as I've talked about many times before, 4 to 6 weeks at least before, sometimes 8, you'll start seeing the big news and the big events coming in. And so May is hot, prime territory for that June eclipse, and even the ones after that to start coming in. Okay, so Venus retrograde. The planet Venus is also called the triple goddess because she rules 3 distinct areas of life: money, love, and beauty. Also aesthetics is listed under beauty. All right, so this covers a lot of ground, and as I've mentioned before, let's just get this out of the way for now. We'll bring the charts back. So this is going to be a 4-month process. That's why I spend so much time talking about it. It happens once every 18 months. May 13th through June 25th, those dates could be a little different depending on your time zone, but roundabout is the actual retrograde. April 9th through May 13th is the pre-transit shadow period, and up from the end of June through the end of July, around the 30th, is the post-transit shadow period. These shadow periods are very important because you do see the kinds of things that go on in the retrograde increasing in likelihood the closer you get, deeper you get into the shadow period, and really strong until it phases out at the end of July. I had somebody post in my last month's videos, that something I want to correct to help everybody understand. Someone said that they are not buying in, quote, to shadow periods. So we have to let you know that shadow periods are not made by Annie Botticelli. I did not invent them. They are calculations. They're mathematically based on the degree that of the personal planet goes, or the planet goes retrograde, back to the degree that it goes direct. So people who know how to calculate them, obviously I'm one of them. These show you the dates of the shadow period, and they are real and true, and it's not subjective. It's an astronomical and astrological fact. Okay, so let's see. 21 degrees back to 5 degrees of Gemini. So everybody's going to experience Venus in Gemini, which is really going to highlight communication. It's going to highlight cars, modes of transportation, communication, writing, editing, and it's going to have a tilt to the past, as all retrogrades do. So issues with your computer coming up from the past, having to buy another one, something going on with your car. Maybe somebody said they were going to give you a car in your family, and then the Venus retrograde brings it in because it's someone said something in the past. There's many different ways this can show up, but that is true for all signs because it's happening in Gemini. So for Libras, let's see where this is. So 21 degrees is about there, 5 degrees about there. So the predominance for the early degree placements is going to be in the 9th house. The later you are in the early designation, okay, so every day into Libra we move, there's more of an influence in this 8th house. But those of you in the first couple of days and degrees is pretty purely in the 9th house. And then it just gets deeper and deeper into the 8th house the later you go into the sign. So when we get to the middle degree placements, you can see the 21 degrees and then 5 degrees. It's pretty tied between the 9th and 8th house. And then the late degree placements. I have so much going on here. We gotta clean some of this up. Okay. Late degree placements, you can see that's pretty purely in the 8th house for many of you, but because this is a static chart, this is a chart of 24 degrees, which is right in the middle of the late degree designation. So some of you have a little earlier, some of you have a little later, and so this is also in motion. So some of you might have some whispers into the 9th house, but late degree is really going to predominantly be in the 8th house, this retrograde. So let's talk about this with every Libra having fair game to experience either of the placements, but with the ratio of likely percentage being shown as I have showed you. Now we can move forward. So what does Venus in the 9th house retro look like? Okay, so let's get a couple of basic Venus retrograde important notes down. And definitely search for Venus retrograde Annie Botticelli and watch my video on this topic. I believe it is the most viewed Venus retrograde video on the internet. It is full of information that I cannot convey all of in this video. So you have to do your homework to be properly prepared because I can't do it all here. So I'm going to assume that you're going to do that, and we'll just cover a couple of pieces. When Venus is in retrograde, we have our funny Venus goggles on, which means that they warp what you see. So you don't see things clearly when Venus is in retrograde. In the areas, love, beauty, money, finance, design, your physical body, your wardrobe, clothing, things like that. So if you can avoid making major life-changing decisions in that time, that's very much the best bet for a lot of people. Okay, but you have to follow your own flow, your own intuition. There are things in your chart that could supersede these general guidelines. But if you just, I've done this many, many times, watched it for myself and other people, and you will see if you watch this for yourself over time, things you almost did, but then you held back, the wisdom of time. Okay, because once it goes direct, you'll start seeing more clearly, and then you'll be like, oh, okay, that's what she's talking about. So the moral of the story is, if you can avoid making major life-changing commitments and decisions in this time, it could be better off, but follow your flow. And I do have ways around that I suggest. I also have a Venus Retrograde blog that I keep adding to. It's like the version of the video. It's on my website, anniehelpsyou.com. And I keep adding to it as people ask questions under the video. So the blog on my website is very evolved and has like, well, what if this happens? Okay, then this is what I recommend. So you can see all that there. So Sagittarius rules the 9th house. And so when Venus comes retrograde here, it has to do with things from the past. It has to do with money, love, beauty, romance, things like that. Plus energy of different countries, different cultures, different languages, different long distance travel, which obviously has been called into question quite a bit. What's going on, international business, writing, speaking, publishing, communication with the intention of expanding consciousness, spiritual studies as they relate to the church or some other, belief system, teaching, learning, any form or method of education. You can see with this Sagittarius Gemini eclipse cycle, distance learning and schools, doing things from home is going to be a very major feature of our next chapters of humanity. And this Venus retrograde cycle is going to bring this more close to home for many Libra placements. Okay, so when Venus is retrograde in this house or sign, love can come back from the past in any of these fields of experience, or work or play with a current partner can delve deeply into one of these topics. So, love is always going to be featured, but as it relates to like traveling with your partner, teaching, learning with your partner, making money from any of these ventures. So intentionally reconnecting with people you feel drawn to may have really good outcomes or be relevant to clean up unfinished business. A general guideline of this time is to try to keep commitments light because things are changing, you're not seeing clearly, and you can enjoy it more if you're not trying to make something permanent and just sort of experimenting and going with the flow. So some great questions to ask through Venus retrograde through the 9th house, or things that tend to come up whether you're looking for it or not, is there a writing, teaching, learning project that you started but didn't finish, that you have returning passion for? Maybe you started to write a book. Maybe you're trying to make your work in teaching. That's very common. Is there a location that has been, quote, calling you to return? Now, I don't know the degree to which international travel will be affected by the time you're listening to this, but because it's such a common topic, international travel could be coming up, and it could be coming up because you're canceling plans, or it could be coming up because you're trying to make future plans further out when you think this might be worked out with the travel bans. Is there a 9th house way, those things I listed earlier, that you can return to that will restore or improve your prosperity or fulfillment? Here's an example. Let's say you were a teacher before and you retired or you took some time off, and Venus retrograde comes and someone offers you your teaching job back, and that can affect your finances, and that brings the teaching aspect into it, and that shows the something from the past. So you see how these are like elements, they're ingredients in a pie of experience, and we sort of look at the elements individually, and then they can mix together in all of these countless ways. Something else, is there a church or other spiritual set of studies that you've danced with before that you're drawn to go back to now? And is there something as far as even earning money through teaching spirituality or something like that? Okay, so education, research, how to make money in writing and speaking, all these things, reconsideration of how you have done this in the past are all common. Returning to or researching a place you loved or made money in the past. Getting back into studying or teaching things that you loved in the past or did in the past or thought of in the past. Breathing life back into previous publishing projects. That's going to be a very common manifestation, especially if travel stuff isn't going on. Writing and going back to old courses. Maybe you registered for a course. Venus retrograde might bring you back to something that you had been studying before. So the affirmation that I made for Venus retrograde in the 9th house is, I reconnect with the past in meaningful ways. So the more you can think about how the past relates to all of this and see it as it comes up, the more you'll understand the nature of the transit. Okay, so the 8th house energies that we talked about, this has to do with relationships. So everybody in the zodiac's having this relationship because Venus rules relationships. And the 8th house rules money also. So, just money stuff coming up right and left. In general, things with the 8th house can bring back things involving other people's money. So, money stuff, inheritances, marriage, partnership money from the past, venture capital, loans, funding, money you win, money you're given, debt, credit. Credit may come due. Debt may come due. Taxes may come due. You might find out you actually have money coming back to you from taxes. Something like that, notable about taxes, are like a hot topic from the past. So it's a really great time to look for money or financing from connections in the past. So if you're trying to get money, usually people that you know from the past are a better bet than somebody new, unless it's somebody that recommended, someone that you know from the past that recommended something different. Managing debt, paying off debt, things like that. Past romantic interests are very common to return with this Venus retrograde in 8th house. So just a reminder, middle and late degree placements, you've got this like really strong. And you early ones, you might have some whispers of this, but also since Venus is in retrograde, is a partnership in money energy, it's going to be strong in some ways for everyone, just not very specific to the 8th house per se. But romantic interest from the past, issues in marriage or intimacy, questioning relationships, things like that. And also earning money from Scorpio-related things, because that's the 8th house. So making money from psychology, mystery, research, esoteric topics, astrology, palmistry, human design, any kind of ancient wisdom tools. So playing with those things or earning money from those things are all increased to come up again. Asking the questions about how you can add more substance to your life, how you can heal your relationships, heal trauma, and go deeper with your relationships, how you can manage your money better and pay off debt, are all major for this time. Individual and couples counseling is one of the best things I recommend. Anything that you can do to heal anything that's coming up can set you up in the future to not have to have as much of a conflict, because these retrogrades and all the transits are always seeking to show you things that are in your unconscious experience, and you're like here and there's all this stuff going on inside of you, and it's like in your field, and some of it's conscious, some of it's unconscious, and here's your aura, and it's all here. And then when the retrogrades come or big transits come, it like pushes it from the inside out, and then some of the stuff you see are like, yay, I like that stuff's in there, and some of the stuff you see are like, oh God, that's not good, I don't like that. So if you work on these things that aren't what you like, then you're using the energy productively, because anything that you sweep under the rug in any of these areas ruled by Venus, love, beauty, self-esteem, design, are all, tending to come up when the rug gets pulled out. So make sure you look at my resources if you have design projects, or if you're wanting to do something to your physical body, tattoos, drastic things like that. They're not usually as well indicated in this time. Work in the backdrop or low stakes things are more indicated, but you might have a different situation. All right, so the next thing that we want to do here is this Sagittarius Gemini eclipse cycle that's starting. Okay, we're ending this whole era of the Cancer eclipse cycle, and we're starting this Gemini Sagittarius. Okay, so June 5th is the first of 3 eclipses. So this May report, we're talking about where the June 5th one's going to occur. The June report is going to cover the June 21st one, where that's going to occur. And then the July report will cover the July 5th one, so we don't get overwhelmed here. What I've done is I've created an eclipse series through the signs and houses. It's always going to be on my home page. In the past, I tried to go over everything that I could think of how I've seen these eclipses manifest through these houses. But now what I'm going to do instead, to take some pressure off of the monthly horoscopes and let us have time to focus on these other things, is tell you where it's going to be, give you just the highlights, and then direct you back to my eclipse, which other videos can give you more. All right, so 15 degrees of Sagittarius. Lunar eclipses tend to bring dramatic endings. That's going to occur here. For early degree placements, the third house. The later you get in the early degree spectrum, you could have some whispers there in the second house, but most of that is here in the third. We'll talk about what this means in a second. Let's just get everybody on the board here. Middle degree placements, as usual, you tend to be split down the middle. So pretty equal manifestation of second or third house. Of course, as we tend to see, late degree, you guys go the other way with this, and that's going to be pretty purely in your second house. All right, so what does this mean? Just a quick overview. For middle and late degree friends who have that second house highlighted, that's money, earnings. So losing a source of income, gaining a source of income, changing your self-sufficiency. Self-sufficiency is a huge topic with everything going on in the world now. And this eclipse cycle, especially for middle and late degree friends with this second house focus, is really coming up as, possibly something very notable. Many people experience a lot of drama at the eclipse time, and the degree to which it hits one of your placements is the degree to which you're going to experience more drama. We can't see your whole chart, so we don't know that, but some people just don't really have much that they notice happening, but if you look closer, it's more subtle, and sometimes you're just holding space for other people as they go through drama, and your changes are more subtle and don't make themselves manifest yet. But it's always happening. It's always working. So this topic of self-sufficiency is coming up. And so middle and late degree friends, make sure you find the eclipse in Taurus or second house. If you go to AnnieHelpsYouTV.com, that's my YouTube page, or just search for Annie Botticelli YouTube. On my homepage will be this 12 video eclipse series. So you find eclipse in Taurus or second house, middle and late degree friends, and I give lots more details of how I've seen this manifest in more specificity. Also, every Libra, look for the eclipse in ninth house or Sagittarius, because that's the sign it's in. So everyone in the zodiac is going to have that. Okay, so that's additional information. Then the early and middle degree placements, and some of you late degree placements may be a whisper, but you've predominantly got that second house. But early and middle, you're also going to have third house. And this has to do with relatives that are not your kids or parents. So like notable things with your sisters, brothers, your brother-in-law, your cousins, nephews, aunts. Many people are going to, especially early and middle degree placements, are going to get some pretty big news from these relatives. Maybe somebody's having a baby, or maybe someone's finding out that they're ill, or they're moving by you, or, something notable. Things involving cars and communication, big deal, and the devices, etc. It's especially important to guard your cars during these third house eclipses, because I have seen an increase in car-related things. Like one eclipse cycle when I had my third house accentuated, I had a snowy tree bough fall on my windshield when it was parked. Then I had my window shatter when I tried to roll it up. And then someone got into a major car accident while driving my car when I was in it as well. And my car was in the shop for a month. all when this eclipse cycle was happening. So it doesn't mean you're going to have those things happen. But it's very important to be more careful when you're driving. Make sure you have windshield coverage. That's what I learned. Sometimes if you can have people come out to just do a windshield inspection, you can waive your deductible for your insurance with these third house eclipses. So for you early and middle degree people who this is more relevant for, if you search for eclipses in Gemini or third house, that's going to cover more of these details for you.
Okay, so definitely look in the notes below this video. If you click the little arrow that says more underneath the video, it will reveal written notes. In those notes, I have the links to my Venus Retrograde video. I have the links to the blogs for Venus Retrograde through the signs and houses. And I also have the link to loomlife.com, which is where you can register for that free class on claiming victory from viruses. And you can also see my other resources, including my course, Becoming a Professional Astrologer. Astrology is always important, but in these times of what the types of things that are going on now, understanding astrology in a different way can be very, very helpful to our own individual peace and process, and for helping others. So if you want to learn to do that, you can check that out at loomlife.com as well, LUME life.com. And you can see more blogs at anniehelpsyou.com. I have lots and lots of blogs. And at cozybysweetstarlight.com, you can, again, this link will be in the notes underneath as well. You can find written horoscopes by me and astrology kissed blogs, how to use astrology in your day-to-day in wonderful ways. Most of the resources that I create for you are free, so make sure that you tap into those. I only have a very small amount of paid services compared to my free resources, and those are for people who want to go deeper into my teachings and my work. But otherwise, just know that there's so much for you. Just explore the websites that I'm sending you to. So I hope you have a wonderful month. I hope that you can stay positive and make the most of the opportunities that are coming to us through these transits, the big ones and the small ones. Venus retrograde is actually a big one, but it's kind of dwarfed in some ways underneath the titans of the zodiac clashing in these Capricorn placements. But it still is going to have Venus retrograde, even though it's on this different level than these big guys. It's really going to have a lot of effect on your day-to-day experience during this month and beyond. So I do hope you have the best month possible, and I'll see you soon. Bye.